people wonder about his favorite track from his late father. Word just broke that one of the men responsible for taking the rapper's life allegedly forwarded a chilling clip to the artist's little boy after getting out. Everyone is now demanding answers about why this happened right now. Exactly what did that footage show, and what kind of person targets a kid like that? Time to unpack the whole dark truth. We are talking about the cache, the recordings, and the forgotten heir. Stop for a second and just take this in. Picture these guys lounging on a mattress, tossing giant stacks of $100 bills around like lottery winners, chuckling, cheering, and putting it all on camera. Prepare for the detail that will absolutely sicken you. Those bills they are tossing like party favors? That is the $50,000 they violently snatched from the artist the exact same afternoon they ended his life. They could not even wait for the sun to rise again. Zero attempt to hide. Zero remorse for the massive tragedy they just caused. They simply split the loot, set up a lens, and put on a twisted show. That exact footage later played in court. It turned into the ultimate smoking gun during one of the most heavily watched hip-hop tragedy trials in national history. Fast forward years past the guilty verdicts and permanent lockups. The moment one of those involved stepped back out into society, that identical toxic vibe returned. This time it was not about flaunting stolen wealth, but a vastly more vicious blow directed at an innocent youth. While those culprits were grinning over ill-gotten gains, a new life was secretly blooming. A son destined to enter the world 7 months after his dad was violently snatched away. This little guy would eventually point at framed portraits, trying to make sense of his terrible loss using the sole method a toddler can grasp. Caped crusaders, graphic novel battles, and a pure, shattering sorrow that captivated everyone online. Yet one of the responsible parties stumbled upon that heartbreaking clip and actually shared it alongside mocking symbols. Here is the complete breakdown, starting right at ground zero. On June 18, 2018, the 20-year-old rising phenomenon recognized globally as the iconic artist was conquering the industry. His latest record had recently crowned the Billboard 200 charts. His massive hit was approaching diamond status, while a $10 million contract sat on the table. Right around that chaotic peak, a mere 2 weeks before his fatal ambush, he discovered fatherhood was calling. The superstar realized his partner was expecting barely 14 days prior to his tragic departure. His life was taken on June 18, 2018, during a brutal stick-up outside a local bike shop. He carried that beautiful secret for just 2 short weeks. 14 fleeting days of joy was his entire allowance, before 4 attackers in a leased SUV completely erased his future outside that showroom. During that brief window, his actions deliver an absolute emotional gut punch in hindsight. He personally crafted titles for the incoming baby. For a son, he dreamt up a completely unique moniker, building it piece by piece. Snagging letters from heroes in his ultimate favorite gaming franchise, he forged a word completely alien to the dictionary and even gave it a custom definition. It meant an alternate realm, an advanced dimension of the mind. He literally spliced his beloved digital avatars together to create pure magic. An original title gifted to a boy he was denied the chance to cradle. Facts like that permanently scar your soul. The infant arrived on January 26, 2019, 7 months after his dad met a brutal end near that Florida dealership. The mother stayed completely off the radar while carrying him. She hid her identity for seasons while crashing at a private residence owned by the late artist's mom. The delivery spiraled off script entirely. They prepped a domestic birth with a professional attendant, planning to keep her safely indoors the entire time. That cozy living room strategy failed miserably. Hitting the grueling 26-hour mark in labor, medics finally called for an immediate surgical extraction. They rushed her to the local medical center, while a massive 7-car convoy of anxious relatives stormed the clinic's drop-off zone. Once the boy finally breathed his first, his inner circle proudly broadcasted his unique title and its deep significance, fulfilling the late legend's wish. Day 1, his mom laid down an unbreakable rule for his upbringing. This kid would deeply understand his dad. The art, the chaos, the passion, and the ultimate tragedy. She vowed to keep things completely transparent. Promising never to hide the truth, she swore the boy would learn about his icon father 24/7. Her mission was to constantly share every beautiful memory they created together during their romance. She planned to drill into his head just how cherished he was by his dad, and she never broke that vow. The child was raised swimming in his pop's legacy, his art, and as random viral updates proved to legions of distant fans his exact facial features. Looking at them side by side will give you chills. Near his 7th celebration in January 2026, images dropped showing the kid rocking his dad's signature style, sporting those legendary colorful twists from late 2017 left supporters in absolute tears online. It genuinely felt like a phantom returning. Yet prior to those party snapshots, another recording existed. A brief snippet captured the toddler strolling down a hallway, identifying framed portraits of his missing parent using a toddler's pure vocabulary. Someone questions him about his favorite parental track. He pauses, claims his dad is a masked vigilante who perished while battling a notorious supervillain. He promises to rescue his father from that evil clown since he embodies a web-slinging hero today. A voice lovingly confirms his powerful comic book identity, believing a comic villain took out his bat hero dad. He plots a rescue as a web crawler. That is literally how a fragile mind digests a brutal crime. Mourning hits entirely differently through the lens of a 4-year-old lacking the dark vocabulary of reality. And that exact footage, that pure, tear-jerking defense mechanism for handling severe trauma, is what one of the perpetrators slapped onto their social media layered in mocking graphics. We are unpacking every drop of this drama. First though, let us rewind to June 18th, 2018. The ambush that ended a superstar's journey was viciously calculated. What those guys did right after the incident, that sets the entire stage. Picture this, June 18th, 2018. The artist strolls right into a Bank of America, pulling around 50 grand in cold hard cash. Stuffing that paper into a slick Louis Vuitton duffel, he fired up his midnight black BMW 8. Riding shotgun was his step-uncle, Leonard Kerr, as they cruised straight toward Riva Motorsports in Deerfield Beach. It felt like any other mundane Tuesday, just a rich kid browsing motorcycles. Except, eyes were already locked dead onto that high-end ride. Dedrick Devonshaw Williams, known on the block as Chucky, recognized the rapper instantly. He wasn't a groupie. He definitely wasn't a friend. Their paths had actually crossed at a local probation center earlier in 2018. That memory was permanently burned into Chucky's brain. Spotting that unmistakable sports car rolling into the dealership parking lot, that single second flipped a completely ordinary afternoon into a waking nightmare. Williams and his shadow, Robert Allen, casually strolled through the showroom doors. Once they positively ID'd their mark, they drifted over toward the parts department. Right there on high-definition surveillance tape, they dropped raw bills on a pair of dark face coverings literally breathing the same air as the star. Retreating outside to a leased Dodge Journey, they linked back up with Michael Boatwright and Trayvon Newsome. The crew was fully strapped and ready for chaos. For 10 agonizing minutes, that quartet idled just across the tarmac, practically salivating while stalking the exits. The clock hit 3:56 in the afternoon. The star and his uncle finally emerged, sliding into the luxury coupe. Instantly, the rented SUV lunged forward, brutally blocking their exit path. Boatwright and Newsome erupted from the vehicle, faces hidden and brandishing heavy heat. Swarming the driver's window, they aggressively demanded the iced-out chains and the designer duffel. Snatching the $50,000 straight from the passenger seat, Newsome secured the package. Meanwhile, Kerr bailed out and bolted to safety. The heist was effectively over. They had secured the bag. From a street perspective, a tactical angle, or just basic human logic, the job was entirely finished. Yet, Boatwright still let loose 3 devastating rounds. A pair of those projectiles tore through the young artist's neck, severely damaging his lung and devastating a major artery. By 4:51 that afternoon, medics at Broward Health North declared the 20-year-old completely gone. His system, notably, was completely free of any substances. The squad peeled out, scattering into the wind to split up the massive payday. Boatwright, Williams, and Newsome pocketed around $15,000 apiece. Allen scored $5,000 simply for playing lookout in the SUV. Then, they pulled out their phones. Within hours of the tragedy, right as a shattered family received the most horrific call imaginable, these guys were literally bouncing on mattresses, making it rain with that stolen cash for social media clout. Fast forward to 2023, and a stunned jury watched that exact footage. During sentencing, the presiding official locked eyes with Dedrick Williams, tearing into him relentlessly. He flat out stated that anyone possessing a shred of morality or regret after taking a human life wouldn't dare broadcast themselves flexing with ill-gotten loot. They were gloating, parading that tragic payout on screen, and incredibly, years down the line from behind iron bars, that exact arrogant vibe resurfaced. Only this round, they aimed their taunts directly at the infant son they essentially orphaned. Next up in Part 2, diving deep into the courtroom battles, the final verdicts, and the epic reality check where the primary aggressor learned his grim, metal-caged fate. The sheer stupidity of their actions meant detectives practically blitzed through the case, leaving behind a massive trail of breadcrumbs, starting with purchasing those disguises under glaring retail security lenses. Tracking the getaway ride was a breeze via mobile apps, not to mention Chucky's glaringly bright orange flip-flops shining on both CCTV tape and his personal social feeds. Add in cellular signals bouncing off local towers and those grotesque viral clips of them flaunting the hijacked paper literally hours after carrying out the brutal ambush. Police bagged Dedrick Williams on June 20th, 2018. A basic traffic stop ended his freedom a mere 48 hours post-incident. Michael Boatwright got swept up by July 5th for unrelated narcotics issues. Detectives eagerly slapped him with the critical homicide paperwork while he was already warming a concrete bench. Authorities snatched up Robert Allen come July 26th, heavily pressuring Trayvon Newsome until he finally waved the white flag on August 7th. A grand jury absolutely slammed the quartet with top-tier homicide and violent heist indictments. Then, the entire legal circus just stalled out in the courts for years. Endless filings, brutal extensions, and a global lockdown ground the justice gears to a miserable halt. Yet, buried in that massive waiting game, Robert Allen was crunching the odds. His mental math was simple. He never stepped onto the pavement. He never pulled a trigger. His hands never actually touched that designer loot. Holding just $5,000 in tainted cash and a front-row ticket to a brutal slaying meant his entire future was toast. Knowing that, he finally flipped the script. Hitting the calendar in August 2022, Allen took a plea deal on lesser felony homicide and theft counts, trading his total silence to utterly bury his 3 former associates. That specific flip instantly morphed into the state's most lethal weapon. The primary showdown against Boatwright, Williams, and Newsome kicked off hard on February 7th, 2023. Unfolding inside Broward County Circuit Court under Judge Michael Usen, the intense drama dragged on for weeks. On the stand, Allen was an absolute surgeon, precise and devastating. He relentlessly dragged the jurors through every single dirty detail. The rented getaway scheme, bagging disguises at the motorcycle shop, pacing the street for 10 agonizing minutes, the fatal ambush, splitting the hall, right down to Boatwright Googling legal loopholes for accomplices just days post-tragedy. Honestly, that digital footprint is mind-blowing. The defense squad hilariously attempted to spin that web history during opening arguments, desperately pitching their guy as merely a sidekick rather than the main assailant. Allen completely nuked that theory on cross-examination. Staring down the courtroom, the witness clarified that the search was purely meant to calm a panicking Allen. The ringleader was basically assuring his lookout that sitting in the SUV meant reduced charges. He definitely wasn't playing private investigator to clear his own name. He was aggressively doing damage control to keep his squad quiet. Naturally, that entire defensive smokescreen evaporated the instant the rat opened his mouth. Desperate lawyers even tossed mainstream superstars like Drake into the mix, wildly throwing spaghetti at the wall regarding massive industry conspiracies and shadowy rap rivalries. The man with the gavel violently struck all that nonsense down, labeling it a pure circus stunt lacking a single shred of actual proof. Factoring in the high-def cameras, overwhelming biological hits off those facial coverings. We're talking genetic matches, defying odds of 1 in 929 nonillion, plus cellular mapping, and a cooperating witness telling all. The defense was completely trapped in a corner. By March 20th, 2023, the citizens panel hammered all 3 offenders with sweeping guilty verdicts across the board. Top-level homicide combined with violent theft. The moment his fate dropped, Boatwright allegedly spun toward the victim's loved ones, throwing them a mocking kiss. Zero hesitation, absolutely zero guilt. This guy clearly made up his mind that reality simply wouldn't touch his conscience. Judgment Day arrived April 6, 2023. Judge Usen took the bench to deliver some hard truths. Kicking things off with Newsome. "Sir, You are the exact reason our state enforces such strict laws regarding severe secondary crimes. Sitting through these hearings, I truly believe you didn't roll out of bed that dawn intending to say, "I plan on ending a life today." The magistrate acknowledged the lack of premeditation, yet firmly stated it alters zero consequences. When you grab steel to violently snatch someone's belongings, you announce to everyone that you'll seize whatever you want through sheer force. Even if your primary goal right then was just a simple shakedown rather than taking a soul, how could anyone argue that the ultimate tragedy wasn't a completely expected and inevitable result? Trayvon Newsom caught a lifelong cage sentence on dual charges, serving them together alongside a mandatory 10-year bid. Next, the gavel swung toward Williams, the spotter who locked onto their Mark's ride. He masterminded the entire operation from behind the wheel without ever pulling a trigger or touching the loot. And afterward, he casually went home to record himself making it rain with that dirty cash on his mattress. You showcase exactly why our region holds co-conspirators fully accountable. You actively chose the mark here. The magistrate then mentioned the footage. Benjamin's raining down, his massive smirk while a household was being shattered just miles away. Frankly, the bench finds your post-tragedy actions appalling. Anyone possessing even an ounce of humanity or regret over stealing a life definitely wouldn't be caught celebrating on camera, tossing around tainted wealth. You need to realize that while you were celebrating and dropping paper on that mattress, that wasn't mere currency hitting the floor. Consider every falling dollar as throwing away the precious days, weeks, and months of your own freedom. Boom. Dedrick Williams caught dual permanent sentences behind bars, ticking away simultaneously with credit for his previous lockdown time. Next up was Boatwright, the triggerman who mockingly kissed the grieving family. Yusan kept it razor sharp. You transformed a simple stick-up into a fatal tragedy. By standing there and letting that iron ring out, you didn't just silence one soul. You essentially destroyed 5 futures, yours included. Then, the magistrate took an incredibly rare turn. He didn't merely issue the penalty, but vividly painted a picture of the cell. He laid out the fixtures. He ruthlessly detailed exactly how Boatwright's remaining existence would play out, minute by minute, for the rest of his natural days. You'll leave here for a concrete box, equipped only with a cold metal slab bolted to the wall for resting. Beside it sits a matching metal basin and commode. That is your decor. You are going to rot in that tiny space for every remaining moment of your earthly clock. Eventually, guards will slide those bars open at dawn to find you gone. That absolute final breath is when your debt is finally paid. Michael Boatwright got hit with back-to-back forever bids without any chance of freedom, stacked with an extra 30-year chaser. Finally, we hit the 4th guy, the insider, who flipped and served the state an entire roadmap of the crime. On May 17, 2023, Robert Allen faced his reckoning. Standing before the bench, he addressed the victim's bloodline face to face. He admitted apologies felt entirely hollow. If he had to expire behind bars, he accepted that fate, begging for grace. Shockingly, the bench actually bought his remorse. Allen scored a 7-year bid inside, knocked down by around 5 years of prior county time, leaving him with just 2 short trips around the sun. Afterward comes 20 years of strict monitoring. Both sides actually pushed for instant release, highlighting his dangerous choice to snitch on connected heavies and his help cracking a totally separate icy mystery. October 26, 2023, Allen tasted freedom. The instigator who sparked the chaos, who purchased the disguises, who locked in the mark and pocketed $5,000 of tainted cash, casually strolled out of lockdown under 6 years after the tragedy. While cyberspace quickly scrolled past that update, the very next twist violently yanked the saga right back to center stage. As the newly freed man struggled to piece his reality back together, another guy trapped inside scored a phone and stumbled across a toddler's clip. Cue the viral story and the chilling actual truth. Let's hit the brakes and clarify things, because every clickbait thumbnail and viral post spreading online suggests a highly deliberate narrative. They want you to believe a paroled convict intentionally went out of his way to harass the fallen star's child. Although the reality is utterly twisted, it isn't quite what you heard. You need the straight truth, as the raw events are horrifying enough without fake hype. Let's pinpoint the real culprit. Boatwright, the triggerman locked in a double forever bid without an exit plan, is completely stuck behind bars. He hasn't walked free, and he never will. He's rotting exactly where Yusan promised, inside that tight box, glued to that freezing metal cot until his final breath. Yet somehow in 2024, either him or a proxy managed to smuggle a device inside and began uploading. That same year, an intimate home clip of the boy appeared online. It was brief footage showing the kid wandering through halls, gesturing at portraits of his departed pop, captioned something like "That's my father," complete with a grinning icon. A purely wholesome snippet that profoundly touched the late star's supporters, causing it to go viral. Then, the locked-up Triggerman's profile coldly shared it to their personal feed. Plastered across that footage were endless tears of joy icons, paired with remarks hyping up his unfazed attitude, claiming he remained completely unbothered by the whole ordeal. This guy actually twisted a 5-year-old boy's heartbreaking homage to his fallen dad into a sick punchline for clout. But the nightmare deepened when a subsequent update revealed the viewer logs intentionally spotlighting